Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
This is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Debbie Merrick with me here today. Debbie is a self-made entrepreneur excelling in sales, marketing, and business growth strategies. She is the co-founder of DM Business Advisors, a consultancy that works with businesses on business operations, digital marketing, financial growth strategies, and referral marketing. Debbie also works as the development business officer and shareholder of a Phoenix supplements manufacturer, in addition to a number of other impressive roles in retail and tax strategies. Welcome to the show, Debbie.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Pleasure.
All right. Do you want to flesh out a little bit of that bio?
Wow. Yeah. I guess it's just doing a lot of things, some doing them very well, and then also learning and pivoting and doing all of that. So we were just talking about, our Midwestern roots and coming out here to Arizona. Yeah. Coming out here to Arizona. And for school at U of A and have a degree in marketing, which didn't really mean a lot at the time. Pretty much meant you could go into sales. And that's basically what I did. I actually went right into real estate. And I also was working for a luxury real estate company down in Tucson and did $1 million in sales my first year at 21. But
Thanks.
I got the bug for being in the financial end of it, and actually ended up becoming a loan officer for a broker right after that, and just learned a ton. And I feel like those two experiences prepared me for some of the journey that I've had, because once you understand like the art of a deal, like you know how to put something together, you can really do it like in a lot of different industries, and whether it's real estate or whether it's in, marketing or, in my case, I actually fell into the furniture business in 1999. I went in, I had no experience being a designer. I went in full green in furniture design. So I was building furniture for people, creating furniture for them. The styles like you would see at like Z Gallery, Crate and Barrel, Restoration Hardware, those kinds of businesses. But what we did was, the business model was pretty amazing, is that we would have people bring us the styles that they were interested in, and then we would remake them. A lot of times we would have more options, and we would have more savings because you couldn't see it, but it was a lot of cases there was like better quality, or it was just the exact dimensions, or
Also, custom size,
things
right?
that they wanted. And so I worked for them for like almost 7 years, and then I actually had the opportunity to buy into they had like a licensing program that they were doing other locations around the Southwest. And what was so bizarre is that which happens a lot in business, is that they actually grew too quickly, and they actually imploded in 2006, which was almost unheard of, because that's when everything was still going really strong.
Things were booming.
So I had like a really defining moment where I lost my job and potential business. And I also, at the time, my now husband, Daryl, we also like broke up at the time. And there was just everything like went bad, like within like a couple of weeks, actually. And so it ended up that what was amazing is that through that really difficult time, we ended up getting back together, and then we actually opened up our own furniture and home and gift business in Old Town Scottsdale. And so we had that for 4 years, and that was really the wake up call for me to go from just a spoiled commission only salesperson
Mhm.
who didn't understand the operations and didn't understand like what it really took for like the financial side of a business.
Right.
And I learned the hard way. I mean, because my husband had made, I mean, one of the reasons we had the money to open up our own business, and you've probably been to Old Town Scottsdale. It's pretty, bougie. It's
Yep.
like high rent district. We were paying $6,000 a month for rent with our beautiful store, and it was like a dream come true. And at the same time, it was a nightmare because I didn't really understand the foundation from a financial standpoint of the investment that we were making. Like I thought I could be that same kind of, crazy salesperson that was like, "Hey, I can do this. I can make it happen. I can like, but at the end of the day, it's like I had to be responsible for the operations, the accounting, the marketing, I mean, everything, buying,
Sounds
of course,
very
that was my
educational.
very educational. Yeah, because like I said, I went from, being more independent as like a sales, because we were full commission. I was full commission for 7 years. But it's like it I really didn't appreciate my boss, like how they were like, "No, Debbie, we can't do this. We have to do this." And and I was like, "What do you mean? Like I want to be able to do this." And so that's what actually helped us, grow into working with businesses because we don't come from the expertise of like accounting and tax and financial services. Like I don't have any of that from a schooling or from, it's just I actually have the experience of being
Right.
that entrepreneur. So I understand from a
Practical
you know,
experience.
for
Yeah.
yeah, like, I know what they do every day. Like, I didn't have a lot of employees, which I actually have more appreciation now after working with all my clients over the last 2 years who had, 30 employees, 50 employees. I was like, "Oh my god." I'm like, I had, like, maybe 2, and I was, like, so it was just crazy because, being responsible for other people's income and having that, and so what led us after, closing the business in 2010, again, we went through a very difficult time. But at the same time, I mean, we had a lot of support from, other people and my church and, some other, influence that, just really just kept us, going. And I feel like, a lot of times, like when people are going through really hard times, it's like the best thing that you can do is get out there and serve other
Yes.
people. And so then it takes some of the, you know, emphasis off of you because you're just like, hey, if you can go out there and serve other people and
Yep.
solve their problems, then guess what? People will pay you. People will take
Yeah.
care of you, I mean, because you're actually out there. And of course, I mean, we went through a lot of trial and error, and it wasn't an overnight thing. I mean, it really took us another 12 years to recover from losing the business in 2010. And there were certain opportunities that we had that just weren't a fit for us. And we decided when we closed the business in 2010 that it was just, we didn't want that lifestyle anymore. And it is a different lifestyle when you have bricks and mortar. I
Sure.
really have, my hat goes off to anyone who is doing bricks and mortar, especially right now, or if you survived through COVID, congratulations, because I can't even imagine. Like I know how hard it was just on an everyday basis to keep the lights on and to keep everything going. So it just to have that whole level of restriction on you, and
Sure.
especially depending on where you live. So and now it's like I'm still getting my clients calling me and some people are really trying to make the decision on whether they stay open because everything's gone up so much in price.
Right.
They just are really concerned for the future because some things are just getting like out of control. But and at the same time, there is a lot of collaboration and a lot of um, companies working together, and that's really like what we're now doing um, since going through COVID. And like I said, I was representing these CPA firms, and we created a referral program to bring them the clients. So we had a sales funnel and other marketing that we provided for our people who wanted to just get out there and say, hey, who do you know that has a W-2 employer business
Right.
and were affected because of COVID. And so we ended up working with probably over 100 people that were giving us business. Of course, it's the 80-20
Okay.
rule. So you
Yep.
have like the
Yep.
people that, it's like, okay, I helped a few people make six figures, which was really fun. And then, like I said, we've been able to parlay, that success that we had, which actually, really restored what we had lost, over the last 12 years, and be able to, help, because we never went bankrupt, but we did, take care of some things, and so it just we knew, that God would like make a way for us to be able to just, um, take, help some of the people that helped us along the way and did some different things that we could like go back and like help,
Sure.
repay them and do some different things. So, and again, I mean, if the people, especially if you're working with people who are like in real estate and done deals and, some good deals, some bad deals, or, other businesses. I mean, if you haven't had this kind of experience, I mean, and I don't wish it on anyone, but
Right.
you may not be working at a high enough level in business because you're going to have some wins, and then you're going to have some losses, and that just goes around with the territory, and it's just a matter
100%.
of like how you recover. And obviously the word pivot has been such a big has been a big word,
But it's
but yeah,
true, right?
but it is true. Yes, it is.
It's almost your challenges make you into who you are. And all
Yeah.
the most successful entrepreneurs I know and businessmen have tons of horror stories of failed
Oh, see,
businesses
that's
and
I
so
know.
forth.
And when I meet people and they really haven't had anything, I just I mean, again, I don't
They haven't been
have
tested yet.
any differences in that, but it's just like, hey, you know what? It's like, and again, I look at some of the experiences that I did have, and looking back, maybe was too like emotionally involved with somebody or something, to where it's like I wasn't looking at things from like a really good assessment of,
Right.
like, hey, if we do this, what is that going to look like for us in, the next year or the next 5 years,
Sure.
or, whatever. But, um, and actually, that's, maybe a good segue to go into like when last year we had the opportunity to buy into actually a marketing client of ours, because my husband actually he's been doing Google ads since almost it started. He was like in 2002 he started being an affiliate for Amazon, actually, and
Okay.
before it went viral. And so people thought he was a little crazy, because people are like, "Oh, you like click on this little box on the right side, on Google," and he's like, "Yeah, people, I pay for ads, and I sell iPods." And so he sold like about $6 million worth of iPods, and just became an expert. He is an expert. But what happened last year was a client that has been a client of ours for like 7 or 8 years. They were looking for some capital. So we actually decided, because we're so close with the family, we've known them for 10 years, personally, that it made sense for us to become a minority shareholder in the company. And so it's been very fun because they have some big clients that they do protein, like all different flavors and different,
Okay.
supplements like vitamins and, collagen and things like that. So, um, and again, I mean, it's wild because we were actually at um, another real estate investor had like a private dinner, and the gentleman, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the guy's name. But anyway, it was funny because we had actually, it was like maybe 2 months in after we had bought this um, into the company. And
Mhm.
it is like it's a 2-year-old company, but they had a company before in the same it was the same,
Okay.
business model, so it really
Okay.
isn't like a startup, it was
Right.
just a reorganization
Sure.
and
Sure.
rebranding and different, partners and stuff,
Okay.
but anyway, but it was so interesting because here I was at a multifamily, real estate investment, dinner, and then the gentleman that was also one of their guest speakers was talking all about buying startups. And I was
Right.
like, wow, I'm like, what's the chances of that? And oh, it's Chris Harder. Have you heard of him?
Okay. No. No, I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, if people are interested in um startups, he has a great podcast. And he's really smart guy. And so
Okay. Private
so
equity is very
anyway,
popular right now. Yes.
yes, yeah. So anyway, but he was actually the other gentleman was Ken McElroy. That's why I
Okay.
actually
I know
went.
Ken. Yep.
Yes, yeah. So he was at the event speaking, and it was like only, I mean, it was at Seasons 52, so it was like
Okay.
40 people, and I found this like it was a Facebook ad, and I was like, wow, I'm like, be really interesting to, get because I actually had gone to their Limitless event last year at the JW Marriott. So
Okay. Okay. I went to
yeah,
his first one of those. I haven't been since, but
yeah, it was really good. I
I
mean,
thought so. I thought so.
yeah, it really is. I mean, just, because we have been looking at different things, but because the IRS, which I love, and it's a love-hate relationship, is that the ERTC program is a little bit on hiatus right now.
Right.
So fortunately, we do have clients that are still waiting for their money.
Oh,
And
okay.
that has been very, disappointing. Yeah, I'm like, please, it's just been a challenge because we were just, kind of bullish. We're like, oh, yeah, we're going to have, X and more dollars, to invest and do, some of this stuff. And it's like, not yet.
Right. Right.
But we'll see like what's going on with,
Sure.
everything because
Well,
I mean,
that's
yeah, it's crazy.
well, that's your ability to listen to the market, right? It seems to be one of your strengths, right? And
Getting
your
better at
history
that.
in
Yes.
marketing and sales and stuff. But that's kind of, I think, what led you into the referral space more as well. Is that right?
Yeah, because obviously I had no idea the ERTC was going to be as lucrative, as it turned out to be for us, and it was only because I just was like a dog with a bone. Like I didn't know a lot of companies that had W-2 employees, but I just kept like asking like, hey, people in different sectors. Like I had a woman that, I mean, her husband is actually my chiropractor, but they had been, invested in a lot of training and coaching in the chiropractic industry. So they went to conferences and met all kinds of people and stuff. And so she just had so many people in that one industry that we ended up getting business from. And then she also connected me with a guy who was a on-site business consultant. So these guys, because I, was handholding. I mean, I was handholding every single client because it was so valuable. I mean, because the money. I mean, when you're making $10,000, $20,000, like per sale, per deal,
Right.
it's like, okay, I can, have a conversation. I can help,
Sure.
handhold this. I mean, the average time that it took us to do some of these files was 3 hours, 5 hours. I mean, depending on how, involved it was to get people's
Sure.
documents, but it was a great ROI. And, I'm very, like I said, it almost, it spoils you because you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like now some other things, that we're working on it's just structured differently. But at the same time, it, was so gratifying, to be able to, call somebody up and be like, hey, we found you $250,000, it's like, oh, you're having a party on the phone. And, it was
Right.
so, I mean, dopamine, like every, like dope, like
Awesome. That's
constant
awesome.
dopamine.
Very cool.
Yeah, constant, and so that's why, again, it's like, you want to cultivate, that experience you've had.
Sure.
And then, for us, it's like you can take these skills. And that's why, like, anyone, listening, it's like, I mean, if you have a business that you could turn it into, a referral program. And, just even having a few people that, that send you, deals, or send you, and I know some, industries, you have to be very careful about how you do it. And we don't do it in like an MLM type way. You can do the two-tiered affiliate, programs very easily,
Okay.
from a brokering standpoint. Like there's really no issues there. But at the same, and if, anybody has any, you can reach out to me. It's no problem. But it's just, again, it's like finding those, like, either similar, like industries, like working together, or just, people that have worked in that industry, or, have connections in that demographic that you're,
Right.
looking for. Because a lot of
Converging.
people, I mean, yeah, they
Yeah.
don't need a lot of time to do it, like, hey, hook me up with,
Yeah.
you got
They
like
already have
five,
the
10.
relationships and those networks. And when you
Yeah.
can converge
Mhm.
them, it can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so that's where, when we getting back to investing in this supplements manufacturer, we actually, the last year, I've actually been involved with a networking group called Unicorn Universe. And it's a networking group that actually helps to build business within their ecosystem, where they actually pay out referral fees
Okay.
for networking with each other. So
Okay.
it's pretty brilliant, because you are able to spend time working on projects, and they have some experts in the group that are in tax mitigation, in investments, in all kinds of, different projects. And, they have a way that people can just be involved, and they can either bring people into the group, and there is a mastermind component. And so they have live events. We did some stuff with the Super Bowl in Vegas. Um, we've been involved with the polo tournament here. So there's been, some different, and that's what's fun, because
Sure.
you don't have to be in all these, obviously you're not in all of these businesses. But if you have a referral and you're saying, oh, hey man, this guy needs to know this guy,
Right.
it's
Right.
like, if something happens, then you're going to get, a little piece of something. And so, versus, some of the other traditional networking groups, it's like, oh, you're helping to grow an organization that maybe they're local, maybe they're international, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, a lot of times now people, I mean, it's such a normal thing to be like, I mean, yeah, of course you're not going to walk around and be like, oh, I'm going to monetize like everything that I'm doing. But
Sure.
at the same time, it's like, hey, I mean, if there's an opportunity for you to have like another income stream that doesn't take up a lot of your time and
Yep.
is fun, that you get to be in business, and then there's also a social aspect of it. So it's
Absolutely.
been
Absolutely.
pretty cool. So with that relationship, the why I'm bringing this up is that because I'd already been a part of Unicorn Universe for about, at the time, it was probably like 8 months or so. Well, because of the investment relationships that I have within Unicorn Universe, I was able to raise some more capital for our supplements company. So not only did we put money in, but then
Right.
I got more money because we had contracts that we were factoring um, for this year, and it really made sense. So, and of course, because the financial market is so much tighter now, it definitely helps to have more personal relationships in the private money world.
Absolutely.
So,
Networking is really important. I didn't appreciate that in my previous career in science, but in business, it's very,
right.
very important.
Sure.
Right. Well,
Exactly.
it sounds like business is going really well for you. What kind of things are you doing personally and professionally, right? To get the prosperity moving forward?
Um,
Are you reinvesting
well,
everything in the business? Are you, investing in traditional
no,
things?
actually, no, actually, we're diversifying. We actually just bought our first gold and silver.
Okay.
And so, and we actually, in the beginning of, or no, actually the end of last year, a friend of mine actually is involved with a crypto company in Europe. It's actually not here, but they
Okay.
actually do the infrastructure of like where people can go, like ATMs or banks over there that are crypto banks. Like they have
Okay.
that like already, because they do a lot more exchanging over there, I guess, than we do. So anyway, like we just, for fun, it was like, hey, here's this, small amount, and it's like already, worth more money,
Sure.
and again, it wasn't like, you know, because I haven't been in that space at all. I was like, I obviously trusted my friend. I've known her for 13 years, and we're actually working on another project
Excellent.
together now, because this will be interesting maybe for you and your wife to understand, when people have like just traditional pharmaceutical sales teams, or
Okay.
it's like people that just go out and talk to doctors and that's all they're doing, that's like
Right.
knocking on doors and doing all that. So I actually, my same friend that we invested in this crypto project, she and I met up when we were going to Mexico in January in on the cruise. So we were in Long Beach. So we had dinner, and she told me about how she became a doctor representative for an exosome company. And I was like, wow, I'm like, that's really interesting. And so she was telling me, and I've been a big proponent of natural health, and just geek out on all that stuff,
Okay.
even though
Right.
I've never been in the healthcare industry personally. But anyway, so when I got back from the cruise and we talked about it, and I said, hey, just as an experiment, I said, why don't I help you with your doctor rep, relationship with this distributor? I said, why don't
Drug dealer.
drug dealer, drug dealer,
Okay.
yes, exactly.
Doctor. Okay.
I said, why don't I help you to bring more um, referrals to you? And I said, we can, split commissions, and I can pay my people, and, we can all make some money together, right?
Mhm.
And so all of a sudden, within the first month of like working together, I was bringing so many people to the table that the master distributor was like, we gotta help her, like, Debbie, so that we can like pay her more so she can pay her people more. And so they actually came to the table and gave me more money to work with. And we're now like getting some momentum. We've had some sales, and, we've been, um, you know, now working with them. I think it's going on like our third month. And I mean, do you know anything about exosomes?
Not a lot. No, no, but
No? Okay.
I appreciate diverse streams of income. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Well, it's just, and it's in the stem cell part of the health industry. And so it just, and that's the other thing that, because even being involved with the ERTC, it was like we were in early enough that people didn't really understand the power of that COVID relief money. And
Right.
so I kind of feel like I'm, and I like being in that part of business where it's not completely saturated, because if you get into something and it's completely saturated, it's not to say that there isn't still opportunity, but it's definitely fun, I think, to be involved with industries or products that are a little on the cutting edge to where
Sure.
people aren't like, oh, I mean, they're interested, but they may not understand like why they're so critical, or what the benefits are, or things like that. So, but again, it's fun to be able to play in these different industries, and I'm starting to hire some people and do scaling. I mean, that's the other part of the prosperity is like, because to me, like I said, because I do have all of these accounts receivables because of the IRS being on hold with the ERTC. I mean, it can get a little daunting, understanding that like, hey, there's nothing I can do, so like all I can do is change. It's like if I don't change, I could be upset. Like I could sit, in my house for the next year and just complain and be upset. And
That's right.
like, what is that going to do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Victim
be able
mindset.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I mean, but there's
Yeah. Very
people out there that
disempowering.
yeah, I'm like people out there after they've had that kind of success, it's like they actually call it, it's called the Michael Jackson syndrome. So it's like, because he got so big, and then for a while, he just like kind of went underground because he couldn't, he wasn't coming out with albums like every year and doing, I mean, even though he was still making money. But
Sure.
for people like that, like they're so used to like, hey, I've had this high level of success. And then if like you're not able to maintain, and that's, I didn't understand that. I mean, yeah, it's hard not having any money, but it's also harder in a way to maintain a certain level of money once you've made it,
Right.
It's like, and not to go out and, I mean, thankfully, because of my husband mainly, not because of me, but he's got me on the spreadsheet, and we've got all this stuff like, all figured out. But I can see, because, that's why they say like lottery winners, they
Right.
within 2 to 5 years, all the money's gone and things like that. So,
I guess to summarize that in your journey, what do you wish you would have known earlier about building wealth and success?
oh gosh.
The spreadsheet financial stuff that you avoided
Yeah,
up
I
front?
mean, because we played cowboy too much, we played with money, and we thought we could just, regenerate it, like, hey, I can go out, I can sell, I can, and it's like not having as much of a plan. I think that's a big proponent of why we had the challenges that we've had, and being stubborn, like you know I mean, it's just, oh, I want to make this work, I'm going to make this work, and it's still not working, it's not working, it's, and it's hard to know like when to let it go,
Yeah.
like I
No,
held on to something way too long,
right.
like during the 2010 era, and I wanted to work so bad, and I was surrounded by great people, and I was doing some good work, but it wasn't really paying the
Right.
bills like it should
Right.
have,
We
and
spoke on that
that's,
earlier, how a lot of entrepreneurs have to say no to something and let something, and pass
yeah,
on it,
and
move
it's
on to the
hard
next
because
thing.
it's your ego, it's your
Yeah.
ego. It's like I can do that. Like I know I can do this, and then there were just signs after sign after sign after sign, and to me, it's like, my husband and I, we have discussions about this all the time, and it's like, wow, like we were so blinded by, you know a situation where when you go through a very difficult season in your life, and what was even crazier is that after we closed the business in 2010, we actually got married the next year, which I don't know a lot of people that would want to do that, like that was not like part of the plan. Like
Not your
after 11
typical
years,
rom-com recipe for.
no, I mean, like when we were like freaking broke, like we were just like, oh my gosh, like, oh no, we're getting married. Like, and people are like, what? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. This is the date. This is what we're doing. We're getting it done. And there were so many miracles around that. I mean, it just like, it's a whole different discussion, but yeah, it just was amazing. And so that's why, like, appreciating the success that we've even had the last few years has meant more to us because of what
Sure.
we stood for, like when it wasn't comfortable and it wasn't convenient. And, we were just like, nope, it's like, this is what we're supposed to do. And now, we've been married, it'll be 13 years this year. So we've been together almost 24 years.
Wow. Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Debbie, for sharing your story and your insights to success. For our listeners who may want to learn more about your Connect, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. That's how we found each other. It's Debbie Frank is my maiden name, Merrick, MERRICK. And we also have dmbusinessadvisors.com. And you can reach out to me, Debbie at dmbusinessadvisors.com, my email. So I would love to, talk to anyone. I mean, even if you just need an ear, I'm here to listen. So I appreciate being on your show today, Tim. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, everybody.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.